There is a curious moment at the end of Jurassic World Rebirth where, during the end credits, it reads, "based on characters created by Michael Crichton," which is odd because there's no characters in this film that appear in the original book or any of the slightly too many films that it spawned. I mean, Alan Grant does get a name check, but he's not actually in it. And do dinosaurs count as characters created by Michael Crichton? From the original book, there's only really the biotech company InGen, included here as part of a running joke about how exceedingly shit they are at doing the one thing that they do. So apart from don't buy stocks in this company InGen, and the concept of dinosaurs on an island razzling folks, what Michael Crichton characters are Jurassic World Rebirth based on exactly? But then, as I mulled it over, cup of tea in one hand and slice of sesame cake in the other, I suddenly realised.
Stop eating my sesame cake.
This isn't based on Jurassic Park.
Stop eating my sesame cake!
It's fucking Congo, son! For the poor souls who've not seen it, Congo follows an evil telecommunications company that needs a super special fancy diamond for their new satellite or whatever. Problem is that said diamond can only be found in the middle of a jungle filled to the tits with mutant apes that have developed a taste for man flesh. To that end, they mount an expedition to the mutant ape-titted jungle, led by a double hard lass, a nerdy scientist with whom she flirts, a merc who's friends with the main lass, and a group of assorted other cunts. There's also a talking monkey in this for some reason, but surprisingly it's not central to the plot. Our group of ne'er-do-wells then proceed to get their shit absolutely rocked, leaving only a handful of survivors who've managed to escape with their lives as well as the super special fancy diamond they went out there for in the first place. But realising the evil telecommunications company are a bunch of cunts, decide not to hand it over, instead pitching it over the side of their balloon and rendering the deaths of all those who perished in its acquisition pointless. Credits. Jurassic World Rebirth, for some fucking reason, follows an evil pharmaceutical company that needs some super special fancy DNA for their new heart disease medicine or whatever. Problem is that said DNA can only be found in the middle of a jungle filled to the tits with mutant dinosaurs that have developed a taste for man flesh. To that end, they mount an expedition to the mutant dinosaur-titted jungle, led by Double Hard Lass, a nerdy scientist with whom she flirts, a merc who's friends with the main lass, and a group of assorted other cunts. There's no talking monkey in this though, much to its detriment. Our group of ne'er-do-wells then proceed to get their shit absolutely rocked, leaving only a handful of survivors who've managed to escape with their lives as well as the super special fancy DNA they went out there for in the first place. But, realising that the evil pharmaceutical company are a bunch of cunts, decide not to hand it over, because they'll use it to develop heart disease medication, which they'll then make so expensive the common peasantry won't be able to afford it. The lovable scientist guy proposes they hand the DNA to the world by making it open source.
We open source it.
Even though it's 3 vials of goo, so I don't quite understand the logistics of how that's going to work. But hey, I'm not a scientist. And though he is a scientist, he's not that kind of scientist. Also, as a side note, the problem with his plan is that while releasing the DNA to the world, he's forgetting that the evil pharmaceutical company is part of the world, so they'll still get it just without having to pay anyone for it. Yes, they'll get it at the same time as everyone else, but the crook corporate dude states at the beginning that they have very deep pockets and can surely throw more money into R&D than anyone else can. And the DNA collected isn't the medicine, it's the research for the medicine, so they can still develop their heart disease drug before anyone else and copyright the fuck out of it, rendering the deaths of all those who perished in its acquisition pointless. Credits. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked by the whole open source thing. But yeah, the Congo thing. Fucking wild, eh? And there's more. There's a bit in Congo where the main lass, Laura Linney, asks her corporate guy if he's more interested in getting his hands on the diamond or saving the lives of people on a previous expedition. He protests it's the saving lives thing, even though we know it's not. Laura Linney, however, has no choice but to take him at his word, but warns him that if she finds out that he's lying and it's actually the other thing, she'll be having fucking words, son. In Rebirth, our main lass, Scarlett Johansson, asks her corporate guy if a young girl who fell off the boat during the chase scene earlier fell off and he simply couldn't get to her in time, or he let her fall because she had been trying to radio for help and that would have landed them all in jail, because none of them are supposed to be out here. He protests that it's the fell off accidentally thing, even though we know it's not. Scarlett Johansson, however, has no choice but to take him at his word, but warns him that if she finds out he's lying and it's actually the other thing, she'll be having fucking words, son. It's insane how similar these movies are. Admittedly, there's no sesame cake in Rebirth, but fuck me. They've made a Jurassic World film by accidentally remaking Congo. And I fucking love me some Congo. So initially I was kind of on board with this film. Director Gareth Edwards has said in interviews that he wanted this to have the look and feel of a lost 90s action film, and in remaking Congo, that's very fucking 90s mate, so well done in that regard. But strangely, it's in the Jurassic Parkiness of the proceedings that cause Rebirth to fall apart, with several nostalgia nuggets lubed up and thumbed in an attempt to elicit emotions and feelings from the previous films. The filmmakers explain this stuff as callbacks intended to honour the original, but in their original form they served a purpose. Here they serve only to remind you of another film and something better you could be watching instead. In fact, Rebirth is so crammed with this stuff, I'm surprised there isn't any fucking gymnastics in this. For example, our team has to collect the DNA of 3 large dinosaurs, which essentially separates the film into 3 fetch quests, followed by a final boss. To that end, they go to a secluded island with an abandoned genetic research base that's full of dinosaurs and a bunch of mutated crook shit. This research base was operated by the comically shit InGen, a company that seems to be trying to rival Resident Evil's Umbrella Corporation for title of fictional company with the dumbest business model. InGen's fucked experiments are explained briefly in a few lines of dialogue.
There's a complex there that was R&D for the original park. It was abandoned after an accident.
And that's all you really needed. But no, the film insists on having an opening scene that shows you the actual accident. Why? Because that's how the first one started. And this accident is such a Final Destination style Rube Goldberg machine of convenience, it's almost breathtaking. A bunch of InGen nerds are gene splicing a bunch of shit just for the funsies of it. But one of said nerds drops an empty Snickers wrapper on the ground and it gets sucked into a vent on a security door, which for some reason stops the door from closing, causes others to open, crashes the entire system and forces it to reboot, giving all the Frankenstein's bullshit they've been working on just enough time to escape and murk a bunch of nerds. What? At the other end of proceedings, our ragtag group are on a boat, having escaped the island, and are enjoying the ocean spray, as they discuss what they're going to do with the DNA they've spent the film collecting. They then take a moment to make googly eyes at each other, before looking out at the sea and the beauty of nature. Why? Because that's what the guys in the first one did. Forgetting the fact that the guys in the first one could relax because they were in a helicopter and had escaped one of only 2 islands in the world full of dinosaurs. Whereas this time, they're in a boat on the sea, in a world where there's dinosaurs fucking everywhere, including the water. They're in the water, remember? That's how all of you people got into trouble in the first place. This isn't over yet, you morons. And that's another point of contention, as Rebirth again follows the Jurassic World series tradition of stubbornly refusing to do anything with the whole Jurassic World concept it itself set up. Previously, this was best demonstrated in Jurassic World Dominion, where these two break up a dinosaur smuggling ring, which is good, but they do so by releasing some of the most dangerous dinosaurs out into Valletta, capital city of the island nation Malta, with a population of 500,000 men, women and children, which is not quite as good. You'd think that Owen and Claire would then spend the rest of the film trying to round up the dinosaurs now loose in the city, especially as it was them who let them out in the first place, because as we've discussed before, everything in this film series is their fault. But no, 5 seconds later, they fuck off to another Jurassic Park, the 4th one in this series, and leave Malta to deal with this shit itself. In Rebirth, dinosaurs are struggling to survive, so have concentrated around the equator where the climate is more suitable and the air cleaner. As a result, human travel to the region has been banned. The cartoon playing in the Science Guys Museum clearly shows that it's the entire equatorial region. You know, where whole countries are. And if the whole area is a no-go zone, that means entire countries and their populations would have been displaced, causing a humanitarian, ecological, economic and political crisis the likes of which could potentially tear the world apart, all because of the actions of one American company and these 2 absolute twats. Curiously, Rebirth does absolutely bugger all to address or explore this theme, and the massive impact it would have on the world. They could have, for example, confronted this disaster by sending our main team to get their precious DNA samples by sifting through the deserted ruins of a dinosaur-infested Nairobi, which would have been interesting. Hell, they could have gone to the actual fucking Congo. But no, instead they go to yet another Jurassic Park, now the 5th one in this series. I understand some people just want a dinosaur action film, a bit of escapism, teeth, screaming and running. I'm not here to yuck your yum, but there are 7 of these things now, and 6 out of the 7 are exactly that, so you're already fully catered to. None of them, however, have come close to matching the feeling of the first one. There are a few reasons for that. One is that it was made in the 90s before there was an internet to allow people to get their knickers in such a twist about these things. And secondly, because it was based on a novel. Running away from dinosaurs while screaming, though not impossible, is a hard thing to convey and sustain in a 400-page novel. So instead, the book leans more into the scientific and ethical questions raised by the reanimation of dinosaurs for entertainment and profit. This carries through to the film adaptation, where there are two fairly long scenes where the characters are sat around talking about ethics and shit. Yes, there's dinosaurs running and screaming, but in the original, there was a reason for it all. It was never about the dinosaurs, it was about the hubris of man, the power of science, and the responsibilities of gods. This was the meat that went with your potatoes, and the reason the first one stands out. Because this shit never happens again, not in the entire series. Yes, there are the Senate hearings later with Malcolm, but they're only there so he can say welcome to Jurassic World, and everyone has to take a shot. Every single one of the sequel films is about a bunch of people who go out of their way to go to an island full of dinosaurs, and despite being either dinosaur experts or mercenaries hired specifically to go to an island full of dinosaurs, are completely unprepared for an island full of dinosaurs, and spend the runtime trying to get off the island full of dinosaurs whilst desperately hoping you don't remember the reason why they went to an island full of dinosaurs in the first place. That's what this series has become about now. So, that's Jurassic World Rebirth, a film I didn't mind on first viewing, but on rewatching it, it becomes apparent that it's trying so hard to remind you of other shit that you could just watch other shit. Want a 90s action film? Watch a 90s action film. Jurassic Park? Watch Jurassic Park. Want a generic Jurassic Park sequel? At this point, throw a fucking rock. You want Congo? You go watch Congo, son. Really, you should go watch Congo.